So Chris is finishing up planting the food plots with the drill planter, the seed planter, and I'm going to come in and finish up in here. I thought I'd give you a little idea, a little view, a little show of what we've been growing and where we are at this point in the season. So it's middle September, and we've gone a full year having this high tunnel. So what we learned last winter was that it's very expensive to keep this large space heated to 75 to 85 degrees overnight during the day. We could get it pretty warm in the daytime in the high 70s, but at night when the temps drop, our heater's set on 55. So that's as warm as it was in, overnight. And that's not enough heat. It's not warm enough to produce tomatoes and zucchini, which is what I had hoped for, that I was going to have tomatoes and zucchini through the winter. The plants grew, but they were very stunted. They did not produce. When spring came around, those plants, they had survived. They have grown in here. When the spring came, they then flourished and produced fruit. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to plant fall crops in here, so that when the temps dip down in the upper 50s at night, these plants can still survive. They won't be out in the frost. So I think that's a win-win plan. So the things that we're going to plant today are broccoli. That's definitely a brassica. That is a cold weather plant, a good fall garden for outdoors, but we're going to keep it in here for winter. So I've got broccoli. Got two different types of broccoli, or two varieties of broccoli. I have Green Magic, and this one is Castle Dome. So two different kinds of broccoli. And I've got cauliflower, snow crown cauliflower. I'm going to plant some cauliflower. I got that same variety. I've got cabbage. This is early Jersey Wakefield cabbage. I do have some cabbage planted already over here, just like 5 or 6 plants of it. So we're going to get some more cabbage in the ground, and I'm going to try something new this year. I'm going to try Brussel sprouts. So this is Jade Cross Brussel sprouts. We'll see. Never grown Brussels sprouts before, so you can follow along and see how they do. And then I've got lettuce. Now, I've always grown my seedlings from seed. This is Butter Crunch lettuce. But I was at the local nursery in town, and they had all these seedlings already going. So I thought, well, that's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and get these seedlings and get them in the ground and go ahead and give them a head start. I do have a couple of tomatoes, and then dill. We use fresh dill for homemade ranch dressing, so I'm going to keep the dill going. So let me give you a little tour of what's going on in here as of right now. So we do have the cabbage, like I said. These are the sprinter peppers that I did plant in here. They wintered, but they didn't start producing until spring when it got warm. They have been prolific. All those green peppers you see will turn red. They're red peppers. So in this raised bed, I have nothing here, and I have some beets here, so I'm going to fill in that. Here, I planted some more sprinter peppers. I had some more seed of that variety, same pack. So I'm hoping to get another group of these going before it gets cold. Nothing here. I'll put something in there. Parsley, chives. I have some dill in here, rosemary. I'm going to put lettuce in here and kale. So that's all covered and doing well. This is zucchini, yellow zucchini. So this is the last of the zucchini. I do have some fruit on the zucchini, so I will not replace zucchini for the winter. I've got beets, and then here's where I tried to grow carrots, and some grew down here at the end. This is empty, so I'll put some veggies here. Now, what happened here was that I had had a couple of cantaloupe plants, and so I planted them with the intentions of running them vertically. Well, they exploded and went out horizontally. And because it was down here at the end of the row, I just let that happen. It really wasn't bothersome. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cantaloupes on this dying vine. And as soon as they are ripe, then I will, you know, tear that out. And then I had 2 vines here, and the ends are pretty green, but getting powdery mildew. There is 1, 2, I think there's another one in here somewhere. So as soon as those cantaloupes ripen, those 3 vines will come out. I did plant some tomatoes. These are tomatoes I planted in the late spring. They haven't produced any fruit, but they're about to. See, there's the lots of little flowers. Here is some fruit on this one. They haven't been very fruitful. But there's some coming on this one there. This cantaloupe vine, I don't see any melons on it, so I'm probably gonna go ahead and take it out. It's growing all up in here. That's cantaloupe, which doesn't belong. Here, more tomatoes. Hopefully they will fruit before it gets cold. And then I've got a second batch of cucumbers that will hopefully fruit before it gets cold. And down this back row are the strawberries. You know, I potted up some of these runners and created other plants from the runners, and so I planted those along here, and they're doing okay. Here are green beans. Yay, I finally have green beans this year. But you can see they are runners, they're pole beans. The package said bush bean, clear and simple. So I thought I was planting bush bean, but I was planting pole bean. But I've already had 3 or 4 quart size bags of green beans. So I'm real pleased with that. So I'm just gonna let them, you know, do their thing. I'm get in here and pick some more today. And they have pretty little flowers, the pretty little purple flowers, pink and purple. So that's where we are right now. Come back out here. And I'm gonna get these fall crops in. I'm just gonna pop them in where I have space. And then we'll be done for now. I am going to put some biotone fertilizer in my planting holes. I have 2 4-packs of the broccoli, so I've got 8 plants, and we'll see how that does us. We'll plant the green magic in here. One. They're drying out. They need to be planted today. And then I will water these in real well. They are on drip irrigation, but I will also water them in. Why is it important to remember the variety? Because if it's a vegetable or fruit that you really like, you might want to replicate it. Like that Sprinter pepper, that has worked the best for me than any other brand or any other variety. So that is one I want to keep. And I wouldn't have remembered what kind it was if I hadn't kept the little stick to tell me, or the little marker. All right. Got our first 4 broccolis in, and I will get those watered in. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is take up this celery plant. This is a plant that I grew from the bottom stalk of the celery, you know, from the grocery store. Oh, I can't. Cannot take that up. Let me show you why. We have a caterpillar, a swallowtail caterpillar eating the celery stalks. So that is a good thing. I'm just going to let it go right on and eat that. So instead of taking that up, I left it here so that I could get some celery seed, which I have, but since that little caterpillar is there eating, I'm going to leave it. I will probably stick a little broccoli right there. And on the other side. I'll just put broccoli on either side of this celery since that little guy's eating. And we will water those and we put this other little guy someplace else. I think it's crazy for me to say that there's no more space in here. When we built this, I couldn't even fathom filling it up, much less you know, have an overflow, but that's what I've come to. So I am gonna put the cauliflower in here. I'm only gonna put 6 in here. And I've got some containers, and I'm gonna put the 1 Brussels sprout and cabbage. I may plant it in the outside garden. Just keep it wet for a week and see. But I hope you'll be inspired to plant some fall crops. You can grow lettuce in your house if you have a sunny window. You know, buy some seed or buy some seedling starters at the nursery and set it in a sunny window, and then you can cut fresh lettuce. These crops you can plant in a container on your patio if you live in an apartment building or an apartment. If you don't have space for an outside ground garden, or if you don't have a ginormous greenhouse or high tunnel, maybe you have one of those smaller greenhouses that you can grow. But you can get plants in now. We are in northeast North Carolina, so our frost date is November 4th. This is September 14th, so you've got time to grow some vegetables. Well, this fall planting project is complete for today. I decided to move the few beets that were here down with the other beets in the other high, raised bed. So I've got all cauliflower here. I've got some of the cabbages here, and then I had the one little Brussels sprout there. So this will be full. These will be big plants, but hopefully if I have a problem with cabbage worms, flies, I can then buy some netting and cover it a little bit easier. So that's our finished project for today. We have got everything planted and watered in, and I hope you'll be inspired to plant your fall garden.